didn't choose to run a candidate until after Thomas Massie, a Republican, lost. I agree with the whole thing, but why don't you explain to some people why they were choosing, or why you guys are choosing not to run a candidate until after he was out?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. We got to understand the realities of the world that we live in, which is that we are a party with limited resources. And if we are to operate today, I believe our best strategy is to be a carrot and a stick. That carrot is, if you run somebody like Thomas Massie, we will stay out of your race. We will stay out of your way. We will cheer you on from the sidelines. And if you run, and then if you unseat them by spending $30 million worth of Israel lobby money in my backyard to fool our boomer grandparents and parents with AI advertisements on Fox News, we will be the stick and we will punish you. And that is ultimately what happened and why we decided to do this. We want to make it very difficult for these people to be successful. We are not going to allow them to go run a campaign unchallenged by kind of a feckless Democrat. And what is I would call it a fairly red district, but it's a very red district if it's Massie. It is in play without Massie. And so we looked at the ability to get on the ballot, the energy that was behind sort of the Massie movement, and said, there's a lane here, not only a lane to make a point, not only a lane to shake things up, but there is a very narrow lane that if a couple of things go our way, the numbers could fall where we could actually win this thing accidentally.
Accidentally. I love the realism there. That's good to have that as
a luck, but if you don't put yourself in the position to take advantage of those opportunities when they come up, you'll never know.
I mean, listen, you're already starting with what, 44,000 votes, people who voted for Massie, regardless of all of the millions of dollars that were poured into this and everything that they saw on TV and everything they heard from the president. Like, those are people that are either just fans of Thomas Massie or actually care about limited government and individual liberty. And so that's a big group of people.
That's 44,000 Republicans, right?
Yeah.
There are independents who didn't get to vote in this primary. These are closed primaries. And then there are Democrats. And the Democrat to this point, she's running a campaign, but it's not a very aggressive one where it feels like they're trying to win. You know, so there's a ton of votes that weren't even cast in there that were up for grabs. But that's 44,000 Republican votes that voted in a primary. That's just going to grow bigger, and in general, if we do the right things.
That's good. I hadn't thought about the fact that it's a closed primary and you got a lot of independents that are out there, and maybe some Democrats if they just want to vote, you know, accidentally for smaller government or against the Republican. That would be a good thing too. Not that they're going to come along with a ton of the message, but maybe for right now they're anti-war because Trump is doing this war. So we've got some anti-war Democrats again, and I guess the war is something that I wanted to ask about. It seems like it's maybe kicking off again, or at least we're exchanging fire again. I believe this specific volley started with Iran hitting a couple ships in the Strait, and then we hit them pretty hard. And according to reports from last night, they also fired back at multiple places last night. I guess we don't exactly get all the information for our bases getting hit or what's going on over there. It takes a month or two for us to actually get that information. So no telling what kind of damage they could have done last night. But this is my first time having the chance to sit down and talk to you about this war and your thoughts on it. So let's start there.
Why win a war 39 times when you can win it 40 times, Nate? Come on. That's America. You won this war 40 times instead of 39. Let's go for it.
Yep.
It's the dumbest, most miscalculated war probably in at least the last century. I'm not well versed on 1800s wars, but since the 1900s and today, this is easily the dumbest one to get in. You had to ignore, the president had to absolutely either be backed into a corner by outside forces to enter this war, or he just believed the dumbest people in the room, because there were so many people saying, you can't do this. Like, you can't win this war. You can't win. They will just close the Strait of Hormuz, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, at a certain point, I think my message to voters will be, the wars are not won anymore. They're just losers. And then you decide, like, ultimately what happens after. It's not World War II. So many people live in this post-World War II haze where they think America can go around the globe and just dominate. And the war doesn't work that way anymore. Who won in Vietnam? Nobody won. Everybody lost. Who won in, Desert Storm? Who won in the Iraq War, Afghanistan? We're just spilling our blood and treasure to launder money. And Iran was just an absolute, it's been a catastrophe. There is no way that we can win this war and get something out of it. And Donald Trump needs to just walk away and tell Israel to fight their own battles.
Yeah, I totally agree. I go back and forth on how he decided to get in this, like, in the first place, because I get that. I don't know if he's exactly as controlled as it's fun to think about. Sometimes it could be the case. Maybe people got some dirt on him, or they backed him into a corner, like you said. I think there's a ton of influence, obviously, as Joe Kent has pointed out plenty of times, tons of influence. I think he was high on Venezuela and how that went.
I totally agree.
And I also think, there's something you said in there, which is there's plenty of people who would say you can't do this. And I don't think Trump is a guy who takes to someone telling him he can't do something very well. And I think he'd be pretty easy to manipulate. If you can imagine, like, the Mark Levin types going to him and saying, well, these people, they don't believe in you. They don't think you can do it. And I think you're the guy who could, but you got all these people around you who are just saying that you're not good enough to do this. You're just like all the other presidents who said that we couldn't do this and decided we couldn't do it. And if you want to go along with them, that's fine. But I think you probably could. It's up to you. I think he'd be so easy to manipulate like that, because he's so narcissistic, And unfortunately, this is what we're ending up with thousands of people dead. Luckily, just 13, I think, American soldiers so far, but thousands of people dead, and billions of dollars spent, and it's still going, and there's no end in sight. I think Iran is much stronger after this now, because they've shown that they can shut down the Strait of Hormuz. That was just a theory beforehand, and now they've shown that they can do it, and that they will respond, and they will do it. And I think they're actually much more powerful now than they were beforehand. And it feels like we're pretty stuck at the moment.
Yeah.
Because Trump's not a guy who's going to take a loss and just walk away. That's like the toughest thing for him to do. But that's what it would take to actually be done with this.
Yeah, I totally agree. The worst thing, though, is that Iran has also proven to our allies that we can't protect them. And so all of these economic deals that we have with the Gulf states, all of these sort of allyships that we've built with Arab nations in the area, drivers of economic activity across the globe, now they realize that America's defense of them was a paper tiger. You put all these bases in our country and then you abandon it when bombs are flying through the air. That's what they're all saying to each other behind closed doors. And so it's maybe a good thing, but the American empire ultimately has been undermined, and we have been weakened, and Iran has been strengthened. I don't know how you call that a win, other than walking away and going, we destroyed their nuclear facility, just like with the 12-Day War. We can at least lie about destroying their nuclear capabilities. But you also change the incentive structure of the whole thing for them. Why would they allow you to, why on earth wouldn't they pursue? Because before the war, they had not, the Ayatollah had put like a kibosh on building a nuke. He had shut the whole thing down. They were enriching to a defensive position at 60%. in order to shorten the time frame. If Israel were to attack them, they could get one built a little faster. But they had not made the political calculation to build one. Well, now that's off the table. You've killed their entire family, and they've watched you attack. You know, I find this is one of the funniest things ever. We put North Korea on the axis of evil. Pakistan literally was where Osama bin Laden was hiding for years, and we have never attacked those countries. Anybody want to guess why? Because they have nukes. When you have a nuke in the global, so if you're one of the countries that has a nuclear weapon, America kind of leaves you alone. We will, and the closest thing we've gotten to it is with Russia through the proxy of Ukraine. So, and that's still just a disaster. But yeah, man, the whole point for me in running this race, and the message that I want to get out to people is not only that war is unwinnable, it's dumb, it's making us broke. And we are $40 trillion in debt. It costs $1 trillion a year just to pay the interest on this debt. And that's if interest rates don't have to go up, which we're already starting to see that they are, because people are starting to believe that there's no way America is going to be able to pay its way out of this debt. They're not creditworthy as they used to be. So ultimately, the reality is the reason Gen Z can't buy a house, the reason that you are graduating from college with $150,000 in debt and getting a $40,000 a year job after 7 rounds of interviews is because we've been at perpetual war for 30 years. And it has to stop. It's destroying our country. We need to close all our bases, bring our people back home, and let them defend this country.
Amen to that. I also want to point out, like, if you were to accidentally win in District 4, as you said, the job of a congressman in this scenario, is this war constitutional? That's an important question. And I want to, any Republicans who are also accidentally listening to this right now, who think we're just like bashing Trump or whatever, that might be true. But also it's important to keep in mind that this war isn't even constitutional whatsoever. And that's the job of Congress, to come in and shut this thing down. And Massie has tried really hard to do so. So your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the revocation of the war powers needs to happen. I would fully support it. And ultimately, the global war on terror is the starting point for what I just spoke of, where we have run ourselves into a debt and destroyed this country for future generations. It has to be revoked, and declarations of war have to come from Congress. The funniest thing for me is you just go back to what Ron Paul said in 2012 about blowback. If Iran had come in and killed our leadership, bombed girls' schools, and bombed all of our military, defenses and bases, do you think America would wake up the next morning and go, Iran is conducting military operations? No, they'd say they're at war with us. This is the most absurd thing ever. And so we have to start. What if they had done? It's just one of the silliest things. That war then needs to be in the hands of Congress to declare it and mobilize those things. So yeah, we've got to revoke the war powers and bring that control back to Congress. But again, if it weren't in the hands of Congress, we wouldn't be in this war, because we have an obligation to defend the Constitution, and the Constitution demands that we provide for the common defense. There's nothing defensive about our war with Iran. It is only offensive, and it is only in the defense of a foreign country. Iran did not have the ability to attack us. They don't have missiles that can reach our borders. It is only in defense of our allies. And in this sort of, I think Americans are starting to wake up. Even Trump is starting to wake up. We pay for NATO, we defend NATO, and what do they do for us? Not a damn thing, right? We pay for Israel, we defend Israel, and what do they do for us? They buy our politicians and blackmail, right? So these are one-sided relationships, and they don't really serve us anymore. We need to get out of them. And the other thing about the Republicans and wanting it to be like Trump's war, Can you imagine if this were Kamala Harris conducting the war in Iran? They would be the ones on the front line championing revoking the war powers. The Republicans would be the one demanding that we get out of another stupid war. If you just replace the person in charge, all of a sudden their tune changes. That's because they don't have principles.
I had to point out that one of our friends in the group, Costco, said, don't forget about Diego Garcia, the base that they tried to attack in the Indian Ocean. He's bringing that up because I'm a Diego Garcia truther. I don't think that even happened. I think they made it up. So just to make Iran sound scarier. So I do appreciate Costco for bringing that up. I had one other thing I wanted to bring up from something you said earlier with Blowback. Another thing we have to keep in mind is that these things can last for a generation or generations. Like, we don't know what the blowback from what we're doing right now will be. Israel doesn't know what the blowback from what they're doing to Gaza will be. A lot of the things, a lot of the actions that people take over there are blowback from things that we have done in the past. Not that I'm just going to blame everything on every action we've ever taken. They make their own decisions, but you can't decide that you're going to run the world, and then when people turn around and attack you for trying to do it, say that, well, those people, they're running their own, they have their own independent thoughts and ideas, and it's not our fault at all.
It kind of hate us for our freedom.
Yeah, they hate us for our freedom. And so we maybe nothing bad's going to happen this year from Iran, but there might be something that happens 5 years from now. And people have already moved on. They're talking about something else. There's a new president, all of that. And we're like, whoa, Iran, I can't believe they just attacked us out of the blue. And it turns out it's the guy who was a teenager when you killed his dad in this building that came down. And so these things, like, they can keep coming after you for years and years to come. That's a big risk to basically no benefit for us, and it's such a massive undertaking for the U.S. government to decide that they're going to go in there and reshape something on the other side of the world, when I don't even trust them to get my driver's license right at the DMV. I don't want them to have any control over my health care. I don't think they should try and tackle climate change and change global temperatures, but everyone's like, oh yeah, they can definitely go to this place on the exact opposite side of the world, and they're just going to do that perfectly, when they can't allocate the right amount of stolen money to the right Leering centers in Minnesota. And so it just doesn't make any sense to me that people have that much trust in the institution of government to take these actions on the other side of the world, and no trust for them to take actions in a place next door to your house. I can't put those things together and make them make sense. I think it's because it doesn't make sense. Is why. It's probably why. All right. So we know we got the war thing going on. Have you spoken to Mitch McConnell about this at all to see what his thoughts are on this whole thing?
He's sharp as attack. Yeah, sharp as attack. Maybe one of the smartest men alive today, still. And he and I did we went to the gym yesterday and got in a good lift. Believe it or not, he is a stud. Benches like 380, just a monster in his old age.
Yeah,
and he's fine. He's doing well. He's excited to not vote for the SAVE Act and make sure that nothing gets done without Democrat support. And Mitch is great. He's doing well. And I wanted to mention, he thinks the youthful Ed Galrain reminds him of just himself just a few years ago. My opponent plans to be the next Mitch McConnell, I believe. So they're best buds. But Mitch and I got in a good CrossFit workout yesterday.
Good.
He's alive and well. Short attack.
Typical Tuesday then. Typical Tuesday in Kentucky. That's what it sounds like to me. So as we're joking around about this, it's a pretty crazy situation that we just don't know what's going on with our 87-year-old senator, however old he is. I don't know, a million, whatever. It's pretty crazy. There's so many people that I feel like just should have aged out in this whole thing. I mean, if you're the win, you're going to be, I mean, the extreme of the youngest, but like, it's going to be like working in a nursing home up there, man. No offense to nursing homes, and nursing homes got much better people in it, for sure. Right. But how does this keep happening? Why do we have so many people that are like over the age of dead that are still elected in Congress right now? It's nuts.
I think it's because they're not elected. They're simply a name on a ballot, and the behind the scenes establishment and the money has figured out how to utilize this two-party system to their advantage. So they run their candidates in red states, they run their candidates in blue states as Democrats. And Mitch McConnell figured out the grift a long time ago and said, you can keep putting my name on it. And that's the end of the discussion right there. And you see what happens when a politician refuses to do that. They will eventually find a way to spend enough money to get you out of Congress. And that's what happened to Massie. So that I think ultimately is it. They find their puppet, and the older they get, the easier they are to puppet. So why wouldn't they do this while they're still able to do it?
Yeah. How, so back on the Massie thing for a minute. I mean, do you think it's just it's kind of an obvious question, I guess, but just all the money that was poured in had nothing to do with like his votes on the big, beautiful bill, or just going after Trump so many times or whatever on the Epstein files?
There's a couple of things that I think were in play here, but it was the money, period. Massie stood up to Trump in 2020 and was threatened with a primary, and he crushed his primary opponent. That was Trump endorsed. Trump has ran two primaries against him formerly, and he crushed the opponents. The difference was the money, and the money flowed in after his opposition to the Iran war and the pressure to release the Epstein files. Not only did Donald Trump, but all of his billionaire donors went all in. That's the difference between the three races where Trump has tried to primary Massie, is that the money changed in this last situation. And the outside PAC money from billionaires bought AI ads that basically tricked a generation of people who fall for scams. And that is kind of gross. It's really gross. And a republic can't survive that if we allow it to keep happening. But that's ultimately the difference in what happened. Trump doesn't carry the weight he thinks he carries around here. It's so funny. And I know it's anecdotal, but they did like a rally for Trump and mentioned Ed Galbraith. Like he got to come up and that was his fight, where he like lost his voice like a 16-year-old boy. And the hilarious part to it is the news companies were interviewing people in line, and they were like, so where are you from? Do you live in the district? And they're like, well, no, I'm from down yonder, and blah, blah, blah. The half the crowd was not outside the district. He does not carry the weight he thinks he does here. So, and that's why Massie crushed his previous two endorsements. The difference this time was the money, and they bought off and tricked essentially with lies and AI our parents and grandparents.
Well, I actually wrote this down to ask you about earlier. I haven't figured out where I'm at on the whole AI ad thing. Like the libertarian side of me obviously just wants to say, well, people got to do their own due diligence and look into things. And I guess that has to be like the real answer, because it should be the answer in basically all cases. But it is pretty crazy to put out, AI generated ads of things that didn't happen and make it look like it's CCTV footage that like a lot of older people probably thought that was like a real thing that happened and don't fully understand what AI can do.
Yeah, there were exit polling interviews of older people who were like, I couldn't vote for Thomas Massie. He's up in DC having threesomes with Ilhan Omar and AOC. And the people even doing the exit polling were like, wait, you know that was fake. right? And they go, no, oh my goodness, and dozens of examples of that. So it did really happen. Yeah, I mean, I'm not quite sure where I fall on AI either. I think one of the things that we have to take a stance on as libertarians, and this is just my opinion of it, is that politics has to therefore be an extension of government. And so we've got to stop treating the political process and the electoral process like it's not an extension of government. And so the question would be, well, would you support government spending money to, use AI to propagandize the masses? And you'd probably go, well, no, that would be wrong. I would be opposed to that. And so politics, therefore, is not a private sector enterprise. It is an extension of government propaganda. And so, yeah, I'm a little torn on it too, especially with something like Citizens United. On one hand, it does give corporations and people the ability to vote with their dollars, allegedly. But also, all of this money that came into our district was not from our district. These were outside influences. And so part of me thinks maybe an answer is that you can't accept dollars outside the district. But they'll figure out a way around that. They'll rent empty lots and then contribute, that sort of thing. And if they can buy $30 million worth of ads, they can buy a property in Kentucky in order to do it.
Yeah, I think that one makes a lot of sense. That's one that I always try to steel man or devil's advocate every little thing from a libertarian perspective. And the money coming from outside the district doesn't make any sense for a representative republic at all. And that's something that I think I would support there being rules around. But like you said, it would be so easily gamed by these people. Now that they would have to set up a LLC or buy a house in every single district in America in order to do this, but they'd be able to do it if it meant being able to buy the politicians and control rules and regulations or get money directed towards the thing that they care about or towards themselves. And which always brings me back to the actual source of the problem, which is the fact that the government does those things in the first place. It's always, what are they trying to buy? If these people were trying to buy an Iran war or something like that, well, guess what? We've got a constitution and we've got checks and balances and we've got rules for that. Or if they're trying to buy money getting sent towards them, well, guess what? The government shouldn't be doing that thing in the first place. It's always the power that they're buying.
That's right. Yeah. And not just the power, but it's the money too. We're starting to see the money come out in sort of what this is. The money printer issue is a massive one. There's been some studies, and I'll be delivering some of this in our speeches, but the reality is there's been massive amounts of money and wealth created over the last 30 years. And something like 1% of that made its way to the bottom 50% of America. And something like 90% of that made its way to the top 10% of America. And so there is something to this wealth inequality gap. Now, in principle, I don't think the wealth inequality is a thing it should be that the boats rise. But that's in a purely free market capitalistic society. When we are printing money and giving it to people, well, that sort of changes the understanding of that process. So that has to be undone in order for this republic to survive. But the money is in it. And when they buy these politicians, you're absolutely right. They demand ROI. These are not people who are motivated by their beliefs and principles. When they spend $30 million on this election, my opponent is now $30 million in debt to those people and will be expected to give them a return on investment.
So I got some questions about the Republican Party, and I'm trying to figure out how to phrase it. But when I was growing up, I guess even recently, I felt like the Republican Party was a party that was pushing limited government and smaller government, less spending, free market capitalism. all of these great things. And I am not seeing that quite as much these days. Do you think Republicans are sort of losing their way on that whole thing, or was that always fake? I mean, let's face it. Ronald Reagan's rhetoric was amazing. Like some of the best rhetoric from a president that I've heard since the founders. You look at the data to back it up, it's like the opposite of all of that, but the words were great that he said. So maybe it was really never the case, or are they just moving really hard in the wrong direction right now?
Well, I think they understand that if they were at this point to boldly say, we have to get the debt down, we cannot spend this money, we have to cut these entitlement programs, right, you basically turn the country over to Democrats. And so they have instead decided, why don't we get in on this grift as well? And so you even have JD Vance coming out and going, it's kind of silly to believe in those Milton Friedman style free market laissez-faire capitalism. What we need to go back to is a Hamiltonian, let's invest in these industries that are going to create flourishment for the people. Okay, that's called socialism, buddy. Like you're talking about taking public dollars, taxing the people, and choosing winners and losers and investing it in private companies. And that is, that's government taking a vested stake in this, and it's so that they can get rich. That's really where it comes down to. They can seize power. You're seeing kind of that merger of private industry and government, which is why I believe libertarian populism is not only an approach to go government bad, but now you've got to understand that like big business is in bed with government. Like these are one and the same now. Companies like Palantir are 50% private sector and 50% government sector on their contracts. And ultimately, they're not profitable or surviving as a company without being a defense industry, company. And you're going to see space at all of these data centers eventually be opened up and leased out to the federal government in order to do flock cameras, eventually CBDCs, eventually potentially a social credit system of some type, and basically to do monitoring and spying of all our online communications. That's the only way these data centers make money, ultimately, is if the government is paying them via contract. It doesn't, the math on cat videos and, AI optimization of your company's spreadsheets, that is not paying the bills. These are too massive of undertakings to become profitable without government intervention.
Don't forget about the ROI on fake AI campaign videos, though.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, without it, how could they do that?
You can make pretty good money off of those. So there's a couple things in there. I just wrote down some notes as we were going on. I got to make sure to ask you about the flock cameras. But first off, you mentioned in my question about whether or not Republicans are going the wrong way, that they know, and I think this is true, that if they were to do the things that it would take to actually rein in the deficit and get the government going in the right direction, the actual answer is they would just lose their elections and we would just have all Democrats in office. Now that is unfortunately very true, and is one of those things that causes like a big confliction in my mind, because I'm like, well, are these people actually not as terrible as I thought? Because I mean, I'd rather, have them keep this than have Democrats 10x what the government's doing, though. So then it gets me down to, so the problem is the people. That's no offense, people that are listening, but that it's just a crazy thing. Like the fact that if you were to do the things it would take to rein in the deficit and get us back to even like a constitutional government, that would cause you to lose your office, your job. Like if you were to just do your job as a constitutional representative in Congress, that would cause you to lose your job. That's a very bad indication of where the people in the U.S. are right now, because they're the ones who, you know, I know a bunch of money comes in and people see the ads, but it's like the people in most cases still have to go and vote. You know, might be some edge cases where that's not the case, but the people are still ultimately making that decision to go and take those votes. And so that is a much bigger problem, because then it's like, it's not just we got to get the right people in office. It's actually like, okay, that's great, but the people are the ones that are putting the people in office. And so it's those people who have to change first. That's a pretty tough one. How should we as libertarians tackle that big problem?
Well, I think the reason we've lost the people is because we've lost the propaganda, and we've lost the propaganda because the people are of all of the outside money that we talked about earlier influencing our elections. And so that is crucial. That's huge. In order to not have these things cost us, you've got to get lobbyists and big money out of government and politics. I don't see any other way to pull it off, because the incentive structure is so tilted towards print money, get it to these people, they give it back to you through campaign contributions, and we just lie to the American people about where we're heading. That seems to be the recipe to stay in office and succeed. Now, as far as like, how can we pull this off? I think that you have to have a coalition willing to take advantage of the cut opportunities when you have them. And this is really where I think it's where Donald Trump lost Elon Musk early on, and eventually got him back by threatening government subsidies, I believe. Elon was prepared to play ball after he got threatened to leave all his government support. But the first thing I think you can do is that we got to get billionaires off of welfare. Like, we've got to get large corporations, successful corporations, no more subsidies, no more interfering in the market. I think that people would support that. And that's a winning message, is let's get the billionaires off of welfare, number one. And this is the problem with what JD said. JD wants to get them on welfare so that we drive economic growth and we can outcompete others on the global stage. It doesn't matter. It's not making it back to the average voter. And they know it, they can feel it. So that's number one, get billionaires off of welfare. Number two, I think Americans support reining in the military. That doesn't mean we don't support our troops. That doesn't mean we don't take care of our veterans. What it means is we close all these bases that we abandon the moment missiles start flying. What good is a forward base if we don't launch a war from it? Close them, bring our troops home. Ron Paul is famously noted for saying we can defend this country with a couple good submarines. And I tend to believe him. Outside of the National Guard, some special forces, and a Navy deployed along our borders, nobody could touch us. Look, we have the most powerful military in the world, and we can't, we are losing a war with Iran on their shores. We couldn't beat the Taliban in Afghanistan, okay? What on earth makes you think we are vulnerable to China or Russia or any other country that wants to do us harm? Two giant oceans, and our two best allies are on our northern and southern border. And they don't want us to fall either, and will fight alongside us if need be, okay? So there is no risk of this country being harmed militarily. Let's become more isolationist. Let's bring our troops back home, and we can cut military spending big. All right, so there's part of the deficit that's gone as well. And then I think most people support sort of cutting all of these Doge cuts that were found to be fraudulent. The Leering centers in Minnesota, getting all of the illegal immigrants off of welfare and benefits and things like that will not only help them make the tough decision to maybe go home, but also to stop costing the taxpayers. And then to get out of debt, we got to start to make, so I believe those are very popular positions that the people can take. And then there's one more that I think is kind of unpopular, but if we're ever going to pay down debt, if we're ever going to cancel debt, the United States is sitting on a ton of assets, whether it's our military assets, land, and different things that the federal government owns, it's time to sell. Like when you're this far in debt, you go to the pawn shop and you sell your iPad and your guitar, right? Like you got to get out of debt. And so we've got to start selling some of all this. Marjorie Taylor Greene brought this up a couple of years ago, and I think it makes sense. I'm not saying sell our national parks. I'm not saying put a billboard up in Yellowstone. What I'm saying is there's a ton of land across the country. We have a housing shortage. Maybe the federal government should start selling some of it. And maybe we should start selling some of these military assets to our so-called allies, and not on gift certificates that we're paying for, actually make them give us money.
Yeah, that's always important to note there at the end. They own way too much land also. And,
yes,
and I'm assuming you're not proposing, like I'm just hearing like a, I don't know, older Republican, something like that, saying like, well, I don't want China coming in here and buying up Yellowstone or something like that.
No, I'm thinking about like real estate developers who will, build houses for Americans on it. They will pay for these federal lands right now.
There's something you touched on a couple times, and it's the comments that J.D. Vance made on Michael Knowles' show. And we did a big thing about it on Friday. But you also mentioned, like in the question about what do we do to help the people come along in the right direction? And a really big issue we have right now is that people are confusing cronyism for capitalism. And that is really what we've been living in for a long time now. Corporatism, cronyism has been the case for 100 years or so, maybe more than that, probably. And so people have decided that that's capitalism now. And since that hasn't worked out perfectly for everyone, listen, U.S. is best country in the world. We're the richest country in the world, like not a complete disaster, but compared to what it could be, the unseen, I think it's very far behind. It's, people living in that have decided that that is capitalism, and the government, of course, is not going to come out. J.D. Vance is not going to come out and say, well, what's been our problem is that the government has been picking winners and losers and has been taking your money and giving it to specific people, or regulating their competition, or selling our souls to the highest bidder. And turns out that it's left us with a place where we're about to have like a class war start if a few more bad things happen. And so he's not going to come out and say, yeah, the government really screwed that up. Instead, he's coming out and saying, well, no more of this laissez-faire stuff. That's just not where Republicans are going. We're going to go more in the Hamiltonian tradition, which we didn't have the laissez-faire stuff to begin with. That's not how we got here. We got here in
the government that didn't collect income taxes when it was.
Yeah, that's true. It's also true. I'm pretty sure even Hamilton would shake his head at these statements. He'd be like, "No, you ought to go with Freeman, man. That's way better." Even the big government Hamilton, I think, would say that. So yeah, we are losing the propaganda war. We're losing this ideological battle, and I think it's because so many people have just ceded that what we have now is free market capitalism. And so now we finally need the government to come in and solve our problems, because the free market has just this unfettered free market that we have right now. It's just run amok and is causing all these issues that we have. And of course, that's what the government's going to say. Politicians aren't going to come out and say that they've screwed up. That's not what they're going to say. They're going to say, guess what? You should give me that power, or my friends that power. And of course, you never are supposed to ask, well, who's the next guy that's going to have that power, or girl, or whoever? Is Kamala going to have that power too? Is AOC going to have that power? This is scary. It doesn't make much sense. The other thing that you mentioned earlier were the flock cameras, and I've seen you posted about that a lot. I haven't been real up on the flock thing, except for I know that I hate it and don't like the idea that there's just smart cameras watching me everywhere I go. There's a big movement against this right now in the U.S., but of course the government is pushing for it pretty hard. They would like there to be a camera on every single street corner and have access to every camera that's on your house. And the cameras that are flying around 100 miles up in the sky, they like those too. And so is this just going to happen? It seems like we're going way past 1984 very quickly.
Yeah, it is if we don't stop it. From a congressional standpoint, well, so first, locally, people have to show up to their city council meetings and treat it like it's 2020 again, because this is absolutely existential. They can they can basically violate the Fourth Amendment with these SWAT cameras, or we've shown it, we're proving it. Hopefully, the Supreme Court, while I think they do a fairly decent job of their remaining portion of what the founders envisioned for the country, they are swayed by influence, right? If the crowd is loud, they will find a way to follow the crowd, I believe, in some instances. So the flock camera issue, clear violation to me of the Fourth Amendment. But if there isn't pushback, if there aren't lawsuits, if there aren't things to put before them, then they're just going to continue to move forward with this. And for those of you who don't know what these are, they're cameras bought by localities that are powered by AI, and they are reading your license plate. So they're not only able to track your data on all of your movements when you come into town, when you don't, but they can do this without a warrant. Okay, so all of this is currently readily available because these track us everywhere we go, right? The issue is that if a police or local municipality wanted to track your movement, they need a what? A warrant to go get it from your cell phone company, right? These are warrantless. They are able to watch you wherever you go and track your track who's in the car to the best of its ability, track license plates, things like that. Clear violation of the Fourth. They need this is why, and I've gotten some pushback on data centers because people are sort of eating up the propaganda of like, we have to win the AI race with China. And like, do we? Like what? How's human flourishing coming from this? But either way, that's fine. But you can't power these cameras without massive data centers. And that's why there's such a push to get these built, is because that's where a lot of this money is going to come from. If we build the infrastructure of data centers, then they can put up more of these flock cameras. If we don't build the infrastructure of data centers, these flock cameras will not have the ability to operate, period. So that's why I'm kind of like, yeah, let's slow down on these data centers and make sure that we have preventions in place to stop the government from using these private entities to violate our Fourth Amendment. So, but the flock cameras themselves, you have to fight locally at this point, where it's past kind of a federal issue. I guess there could be a law that bans it, or the Supreme Court could overturn it. But at this point, you got to get out and you got to buy in your city council, and you got to demand that they be taken down. And you got to make some sheriffs lose. You got to make some police chiefs lose. You got to be a pain in the butt. And I really hope that we get out there and do just that. But what Congress can do is to draw a hard line in the sand. The really scary part of these is, imagine if these were widespread in 2020 and you post, and it's 2020, it's 2021. Joe Biden is wanting to make sure that you have the jab in order to be employed, and he's going to find employers if they don't. You guys all remember that, right? Okay, well, those politicians still exist, and they'll probably be reelected in 2028. Now they can track your movement. Now the comment that you posted online that was considered hate speech, well, now police can go follow you to the store and harass you or arrest you, or you could basically be banned from entering into a certain city or town because the police can flag you. And that's the thing about this, is that they're not having to go retroactively and check camera footage. The AI sends a call to the cops when your license plate is spotted. That's incredibly dystopian, and the ramifications could be huge. But beyond that, the next iteration, we know it's coming. They're going to try to push to do that with our currency as well, to get off of cash and go central bank digital currency, because similarly, they can just stop your spending. They can not only freeze all of your assets, with this digital currency and limit what you can actually spend it on. So you can get a $2,000 paycheck and they force you to spend 500 of it at this store on this thing, or they force you only get a certain allotment to spend on electricity. And so after you've spent that allotment on electricity, your electricity gets turned off. So they can force you into conservation efforts and things like that. CBDCs have to be banned from Congress. They have to be made illegal, and it has to be bulletproof. And then beyond that, social credit systems have to be banned. And that's the hard line in the sand that Congress can draw, and some things that I would absolutely be proposing if elected.
Yeah, it's wild how close we are to what happened in 2020 and 2021, yet so many people have sort of forgotten.
Just forgotten.
And it's like the craziest thing that most of us have gone through from a government in our lives, and it just over like that. Just forgot about it all of a sudden. And now people don't think about, well, what if they had all these flock cameras at that time and the full AI data center backing behind them and all those tools and control? They had some of them, but what if they had this fully networked, all of them, and they had the CBDCs at that time as well? Like you're talking about building the infrastructure for the dystopian, authoritarian nightmares that all of us have been talking about for a long time. And you might trust the current people that have it. You got no idea who the people in the future are going to be. Or you might say, well, there's no way they're going to take control of that one on my corner. This is a local government. Yeah, well, crazier things have happened. And it is very possible that the feds come in and use these things in the way that you won't like in the future. So I do want everyone to take that under consideration. We got to get going. So I want to make sure you have the opportunity to give your pitch to two groups of people. You can do it like separately or mix them together, whatever. So your pitch to the people who voted for Massie and the independents who weren't able to come out, and also a little side pitch in there for the Republicans who plan on just voting that party line and voting for Ed Gowring and then doing what Trump tells them to. So kind of your pitch for both of those groups of people.
Yeah, the pitch to the Massie voters and the independents is a really easy one. Massie and I probably agree on close to 99.9% of things. I very rarely see anything with him I disagree on. And so you would continue to get that from somebody who admittedly is not as bright. I'm not an MIT engineer by any stretch of the imagination, but you know what? If I was elected, I'd probably just call Massie every day and go, hey, you read this bill, what should I do? So that is an easy pitch. I am just a regular person. If I were in a crowd of people in this district, you wouldn't be able to pick me out among anybody. I am actually one of you. There's nothing special about me. There's nothing different about me. I'm just a person who's as normal as the day is long, like you are. And I think we need those people running the country and in Washington, not people who are beholden to political parties or special interests. And for the Republicans who might be on the edge, I think you're probably going to learn over the next 4 months that you have a little bit of buyer's remorse on how you may have voted in the primary. If you voted against Thomas Massie, you may start to realize and wake up that, oh, this was outside money that came in and bought this election. These were people with an agenda, and they've kind of abandoned this Ed Gowring guy. And I have it on insider information. Please don't hold this as a fact because I have to be careful right now. But the rumor is Ed fired all the Trump people that were put on his staff. So there's like you're not getting who you think you're getting. And the fact is that if you elect the Democrat, she is still going to have to go into meetings and answer to her party. And if you elect Ed Gowring, he is $30 million in debt to people who put other countries before ours. And when the metal meets the road, who do you think he's going to have the back of? The people of Kentucky or his donors? And the answer is always going to be his donors. And so if you want somebody who isn't beholden to anybody in Washington, D.C., somebody who's not going to fit in, somebody who's not looking to get rich, somebody who doesn't even want to have a second term, I might be.
Awesome, man. And where can people go? Where should they go to support the campaign? The website's the best place. Do you want people to hang out with you on X or both of those?
Yeah, website's best place. If you want to support the campaign, you can go and either sign up to continue to stay updated on the campaign. We are working on that. I have just resigned from my job last week to take on the campaign full time. I was kind of forced into a little situation with that, and I don't hate my employer for it. I kind of expected it. I'm surprised they let me stay on as long as they did. But and so please don't ask me who they are so you can boycott them. I don't want that. If I don't win an election, or if I do in 2 years, I'd like to go back to this employer. They are fantastic. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, so the best way to support the campaign, either through contributions, volunteering, or just staying up to date on it, is the website, www.jeremytodd.com. Some indie artist in Seattle with the same name as me owns the other domain. And while it's not being used, we can't get in touch.
Do not support that artist.
And I know, right? And then Facebook is, I believe, the campaign is Jeremy Todd for Kentucky V4. Same thing on Instagram and TikTok. And then on Twitter, you get me. So those are my sort of like campaign social medias. And then on Twitter, you get unfiltered what's coming out of my brain right here on the phone. And that is just my personal Twitter, or X is @jtodd601. That is not a default bunch of numbers. That number has some meaning to me. And I've told everybody that if I win, I will tell you all the story.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on this morning. This was a great conversation. Yeah, I feel like we should have a couple more before the election actually happens, if you're good with that. Don't worry if you didn't write down all of those links as he was saying them, I'll put them in the show notes so you can go and support the campaign or hang out with Jeremy on X. I can tell you he's a fun person to follow on X for sure. So thanks a lot, man. I'm gonna end this stream here, and we wish you all the best in this in trying to carry that torch for Thomas Massie. Big shoes to fill, but I think you got some good chances, man. I think maybe it's not just going to be an accident. So, all right, man. Thanks a lot. You have a good one.
Appreciate it, mate. Thanks, man.